Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whatever time it may be in your end of the world or your little corner of, of Earth. Welcome to another empowering episode of Pep Talks with Megan De La Concha. I am so happy that you guys are here. I have a little tickle in my voice, so excuse me if I need to pause and take a sip of water. That just must mean that this episode is supposed to be like a really good one since it just literally started as I sat down. Anyway, goodness gracious. Can you guys believe that we are officially in 2021? Woo! Insert cheering audio here. Yes, congratulations. We have made it, and we are going to talk all about 2021 and what we are going to actively be doing to make this one of the best years of our lives moving forward. But first, we need to continue our conversation about how to build better boundaries, and this is the part 2. So today we'll be going over steps 6 through 10, as last week we went over steps 1 through 5. The week before that, we talked about red flags in our lives. And the week before that, we spoke about or had a conversation on the toxic things that we may be doing. So this is kind of just wrapping up the whole conversation of habits and toxicity and boundaries, which is so unbelievably necessary for every part of your life. I want to let you guys know that this episode is being brought to you by Anchor.fm. I'm sure you guys kind of gathered that by the little sponsorship ads that I've been doing in the beginning. Yes, they are paid ads. Full disclosure, but his episode is also brought to you by myself, Megan De La Concha. My Foundations Confidence Coaching is open up for new clients where I take you through a 5-step journey, starting with how to break down your story, your past, and your barriers, teach you how to rewrite your story, teach you how to create your new vision for yourself, build up the pillars of confidence and resilience so that we can go ahead and make a lifetime change of transformation. And these are not just, I tell you what to do. This is actual action items, things that you do every single day for the rest of your life that help support you and propel you into the future, into the life that you want. And then once you're there, keep your resilience there and keep you ever evolving, because that's what we do. We are ever changing. We are ever exploring, discovering, evolving. If you're not doing that, then you're dead. But anyway, if you want to learn more, I encourage you to please go to megandelaconcha.com. My website is down at the bottom, and book a discovery call with me today. There are limited number of seats due to all the work and the preparation that goes into each and every one of my clients. I spend a lot of time prepping and researching for you, but this is not just a cookie cutter program that everyone gets the same stuff as they go through it. You get things, homework, you get worksheets, you get obviously personal coaching, you get full-time messaging support with me, all specifically curated to your needs, your desires, your past, and what we need to implement in your life in order for you to get over yourself, to become your best self for the rest of your life. So if you are interested, head over to megandelaconcha.com and book a discovery call with yours truly at no obligation, no charge, and we can see if we're a right fit. So yay! Now that that is out of the way, let's go ahead and dive right into the 10 ways that we build and preserve better boundaries. And this is part 2. So if you're stepping in, if this is your first episode, that's fine. It's in no particular order. It's just 10 steps on how to build and preserve better boundaries. But this is part 2, steps 6 through 10. If you're interested in steps 1 through 5, please go ahead and visit episode 20 on the YouTube channel or Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play. Whatever your favorite listening platform is, that's where I will be. So last week, steps 1 through 5, and I made it a point to point out that boundaries is a skill. It is not something that we are born with. It is something that we have to practice over and over again. And a lot of times we're not aware of the boundaries that we need, or even how to set boundaries, because we are unsure and we're not clear or direct in what it is that we want and what it is that we stand for, whether it's physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. So, in order to put all of these other steps in motion, we have to be so clear on what it is that we will accept and allow in our lives, and what it is that makes us uncomfortable, and what we will not accept. So, being able to tune into your feelings, as far as when you're not feeling quite right after having a conversation with somebody, or just someone that's maybe in your life, where you don't feel good about yourself after interaction with them. You feel you kind of have to alter yourself. You feel, uncomfortable or even resentful. That those are all signs that this person or situation is pushing us to our limits or beyond our limits, and making us step over our own boundaries. So, in order to help us identify what our limits are, we need to consider what makes us feel uncomfortable or stressed, as well as what we will accept and what we will allow and tolerate, basically, in our lives. Um, so that's super important in order to, name our limits, in order to go ahead and take all these steps and kind of build on them one by one. So, going right in. Step number 6 is consider your past and your present. So I know we did a lot of family talk last week, because I personally think that that's where a lot of the boundaries are blurred, or that's really kind of where we become weak in setting boundaries, because of the roles that we have played in our family. So, how we were raised, along with our specific role in our family, those can become obstacles in setting and preserving our boundaries. So, for instance, if you are the head of your family growing up, if you held the role of caretaker, whether your parents worked long hours, multiple jobs. Maybe you were raised by different family members other than your parents, and you were the eldest, or you were the most responsible. And so you naturally took on a leadership role for your family, or you took care of your grandparents, or your aunt and your uncle, or your parents, whatever the case may be. If you held the role of caretaker, for instance, then you had learned from a very young age to focus solely on others and what their needs are, what their wants are. And you took that burden on yourself to fulfill that role. So you become, over time, um, emotionally drained, physically drained. A lot of times you don't even really know what your own needs or wants are, because you've spent so much time caring for other people. And that's okay. That's all reversible. That's not like, oh, you're doomed now. This is all stuff that we learn, right? I'm just shameless plug here. In my program, these are all things that we uncover and we rewrite and relearn. But for the sake of setting boundaries, that is an example of an obstacle in your life, that kind of holds you back from setting your boundaries and adhering to them. So, ignoring your own needs and your own wants has become your environment. That's become your natural habitat. And a lot of times you're not even aware of it, because you have adopted the fact that if you are taking care of somebody else, then your own needs are met. Does that make sense? You have come to find that when people say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so happy," you give something to someone else and they're like, "I'm so happy. Thank you so much. What can I do for you? What do you need?" And then your response is, "Just seeing you happy, or just knowing that just being able to do this for you makes me happy." That's amazing and that's wonderful. I get that. But that cannot be who you are. You doing other things for people all the time is not what you need, nor is it what you want. So please don't kid yourself. When you're able to bless other people periodically, in either different points in your life or different points in their life, that's all fine and dandy. That's completely separate. But what I'm talking about is that we have come to, if you're in this role, I'm still talking about the role of caretaker, and you can apply this to any other role in your life. But specifically for this one, you have become accustomed to, this is what you do, this is what you're supposed to do. You have found that whether you feel good or bad, this is your role. So you ignore your own needs, and wants and desires, and that's become the norm for you. So you need to identify and rediscover who it is that you are. And that way you can name your limits, and that way you can set your boundaries. And you also need to think about the people that we surround ourselves with. Are the relationships reciprocal? Is there a healthy give and take? Now, for me, personal story, I was the friend that took, and took. Now, I wasn't aware of that fact until I was obviously a little older and a little bit more emotionally intelligent and more aware of my habits, and obviously more confident in myself. I didn't realize that that was a toxic pattern in me, and that was toxic to other people. And it was a habit, I guess. Yeah, a habit to break, because even though I was aware of it, that pattern was still there, right? So just because you're aware of something doesn't mean that it automatically changes. You're aware, then you have to take action. So I was that friend that I would only call you up if my boyfriend and I got in a fight, or I was struggling financially, or I was feeling down, I was feeling alone, I was feeling insecure. But if you ever had an issue, you probably, one, wouldn't even reach out to me, because I never established that give and take factor. I trusted you to hear out all my problems with no regard to what time of day it was. I mean, you could have answered the phone. If you answered the phone, it was on. You could have said, "Hey, I'm in the middle of something really big right now." And I would have said, "Okay, I only need like 2 minutes of your time." There was no respect for anyone else's boundaries at all. But yeah, it was an unhealthy give and take. I just took and took. I would suck the life out of conversations. I made them all about me. And I didn't realize what I was doing, but I didn't allow that safe space for other people to say, "You know what? Let me call Megan up and see what she thinks about this. I need a pep talk." That just naturally rolled off my tongue, by the way. But I need a pep talk. I need to vent. I always feel so good after I talking to her. There's a period in my life where it was never reciprocated, because I never made the other person feel like it could be reciprocated. Probably because I always turned it into, either it being me, or I flaked out on meeting up with them, or I wouldn't answer the call because I just couldn't handle it. I was in my own misery. Like, "Oh my God, so and so didn't text back and it's been 5 minutes." I mean, really, I'm joking about it now because it's utterly ridiculous, but that was a real place of my life. So I know exactly what that is. So I urge you, because now I take inventory of the relationships in my life that are reciprocal. I know the changes that I've made and how I am there for people. And I have some tendencies sometimes, but I make sure that I reach back out to people, and I make a safe space for them to talk to me, with me just listening, and supporting them. And so I urge you to take a look at the relationships that are in your life and ask, are they reciprocal? Is there a healthy give and take? And beyond relationships, is your environment healthy? Because it could be unhealthy as well. Um, you know, take inventory as well of, let's say you're in the workplace, and let's say your job really does require you. Your hours are 9 to 5, and you are not required to be there afterwards unless you're specifically asked, right? But if you have that one coworker who's always staying late, do you feel obligated to stay late with them? Do you feel obligated that, you have to go above and beyond what's comfortable for you, which means staying late at work, which means that you're missing out on family time, you're missing out on your workout, you're missing out on self-care, you're missing out on your rest, and you're adding more stress to your life. It can be really challenging being the only one who sets and maintains healthy boundaries in the workplace. I've experienced that so many times where been somebody else who's in the same role that I am, but maybe in a different department, and they take on so much. And at one point made me feel like I wasn't doing enough. And so I started to kind of react to that. And I pushed my boundaries. I know what my boundaries are so that I have a healthy relationship with my work. But I started to ignore those because everybody else was taking on so much that I felt I needed to do the same, or else I was subpar, or else I wasn't a hard worker, or I wasn't, committed to my career. And I had to take a step back and say, whoa, 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 like, absolutely not. My hours are, 8:30 to 4:30, 9 to 5. And the work that I do between that in those 8 hours is quality, amazing work. I do not need to stay any later unless I personally have the will to stay later, right? Or have the will to come in early to do something that it is I want to do. Not because Joe and Sally and Mary were coming in or always staying late. Not because I felt like maybe they were talking behind my back when I logged off at 4:30 and grabbed my keys and, I was clocking out and then being like, oh my God, she's always leaving early and we're always staying late. Well, you know what? That is their choice. That's not my choice. The work is still getting done. But the point is that when you feel like you're the only one that's trying to set specific boundaries for yourself and not everybody understands, it's hard. It's hard to feel like you're alone in that. But you don't understand, like, or you might not know that Mary, maybe she's going through something and she's putting all of her energy into work. So staying late actually helps her, or coming in early helps her, and you have a family to go home to, or you have that workout class that you want to get to because you're trying to strengthen your vessel. You're trying to keep yourself as healthy as possible. You have other goals to attain. That's okay. Mary's got goals that she wants to attain too, but you cannot take that on of the other person and have that be an excuse to overexert your boundaries or blur your boundaries, or just be like, forget it. I'm just going to continue to stay late or come in early because so and so does it. And I feel like I should be doing that too. Like, we need to put that aside from us and be true to what it is that we are trying to gain out of life, right? So again, this is where tuning into your feelings and needs and honoring them becomes critical. So, on to number 7, making self-care a priority, which is basically what we just kind of went over. So, see, it kind of all rolls into one. So, making self-care is 100% a priority, and that involves giving yourself permission to put yourself first. So, when we do this, our need and our motivation to set boundaries becomes stronger. And self care also means recognizing the importance of your feelings and honoring them, because these feelings help guide us, help direct us as important cues about, if our well being, is it healthy? What makes us happy? What makes us unhappy? It all really kind of rolls into one. And when you take care of yourself and when you put yourself first, it gives you the energy, the peace of mind, and a positive outlook to be more present with others and be there for them. So when we are in a better place, our own selves, then we are able to be in a better place for other people. We're able to be a more patient mother. We're able to be a more understanding wife. We're able to be a more compassionate friend. We're able to be, a more committed or a more present employee or employer. So, making your self care a priority is super, super vital to setting your boundaries. And that's really one of the things I wanted to touch on. And I believe I'll touch on that on number 10. But when you start to set boundaries within your own self and you start to raise the bar for what it is that you want out of life, and you put a lot of focus on that, and you learn to say, no, I'm not having pizza at 11 o'clock at night because I want to be asleep by then. I have an early morning. I have a goal to be up at 4 in the morning and to do my morning routine. And a part of that morning routine is going for a run, going for a walk, doing some yoga. So I don't want to feel nasty and bloated, and I don't want to feel tired, because I know if I stay up and I eat crappy, I'm going to feel crappy in the morning and nothing's going to get done. So being aware of, again, our feelings and what it is that we want and putting them into place allows us to set these little tiny boundaries within ourselves. And when we start to do that, when we start to create something different in ourselves and we start to see something different, it is so much easier to protect ourselves, right? So habits are what support you. Boundaries are what protect you. They protect your habits, they protect your energy, it protects your journey. So that's why establishing boundaries is so crucial to a healthy life overall. Um, and it is a new concept to a lot of us. But when you, like, let's say you, oh goodness gracious, let's say you have a goal that you want, like you've been heavy your whole life and you have this goal of losing X amount of weight the right way, and you want to be emotionally happy and physically happy, and you just want to feel good. You put so much energy into attaining that goal that you set these things like, no, I'm not going to eat that. I'm going to, reduce my caloric intake in a healthy way. I'm going to be active every day. I'm going to say no to late night drinks, because that just leads to binge eating, and that leads to, unrest, and then I don't get up and I don't do what I want in the morning. So see, even right then and there, you're setting different boundaries. So when you do that and you finally reach your goal, it is it is not hard for you. It might have been hard in the beginning, but it's not hard for you ever to say, no, I'm not going out tonight, or no, I'm not going to eat that, or no, I'm going to hang out, but I'm not going to drink, because you went so long setting these little boundaries around yourself that once you reach that goal, once you feel really, really good about yourself in so many different ways, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, when you reach that point, it's like setting boundaries is a no-brainer for you, and it becomes more important, and you become more motivated to set them in other areas of your life. So number 7 is making your self-care a priority. Number 8, and I'll be brief on this one, is seeking support. So if you're having a hard time with boundaries, seeking support, whether that's support or a support group, maybe there's like a mom's group or a single women's group. I know I belonged to like a professional singles group when I was, in the middle of my healing, after, a very toxic relationship. And before I got into the beautiful marriage that I'm in now, I definitely wanted to join. I wanted to surround myself with a group of like-minded people. And so here in the city that I live in, they have the Single Professionals Network, and they did social hour, and they did a bunch of events and stuff. And it was really awesome. I mean, I went to just a few things, but I'm telling you, it made all the difference in the world. So finding a support group, church, counseling, coaching, or even good friends. Sometimes if you have a great relationship with friends or family, that is someone, or people you can reach out to, that you can have that conversation with them, and you can set boundaries together, and you can hold each other accountable. Now, the reason I said I was going to be brief about this is because this day and age, we definitely can't really get together in a group, can we? Because we're still dealing with COVID-19. And I feel that, once this is kind of passing us by, it's going to look a lot different, getting together socially. So Facebook is huge. Even the new social app Clubhouse, which is only available for iPhones, but I'm on it. And that is huge. There's so many conversations. There's so many groups on Facebook. There's so many support groups. There are different pages that you can connect with like-minded women. I know I did it when I was pregnant with my second child. I joined a mom's group, and it was awesome. And I felt really supported by women I didn't even know. But just knowing that people are going through the same types of thing and experiencing the same things as you is just beyond supportive, right? And it really makes you feel, one, normal, and two, that you can handle this because other people are going through it and they can offer suggestions and you guys can hold each other accountable. And Clubhouse too is full of amazing conversations from real people who are going through so many different things. I mean, it's from business venture to emotional healing, to dealing with, economic statuses, economic relief, anything that you can think of. The conversation is happening on Clubhouse. So seeking support when you need it is so, so important. And of course, the ultimate support is the Lord and Savior himself, which you always have him to speak to and you always have him to reach out to you. And he is supporting you in every single way. I just had to put that in there because him and I have been having lots of conversations lately. So then on to number 9 is being assertive. So, of course, we know that sometimes it's not enough to create boundaries and that we actually have to follow through. And a lot of times it's easy to follow through, and a lot of times it's not so easy to follow through. So, here is where I know steps 1 through 5, communication was being direct was, a step, and now it's being assertive. So here's why communication is so freaking important. Because we like to think, myself included, we like to think that other people can read our mind. For example, I struggle with this in my marriage. I expect by now my husband should know this facial expression means this. This body language means that. This is gonna piss me off. This is I'm not gonna be okay with. I expect him to know these things. And for the most part, yes, we know each other. We know, like, oh dang, she's gonna be mad at that. He's gonna be mad at that. He's not gonna like this. And we talk about it. But we are, each and every single one of us, we are all going through, whether you're in a relationship where that it's a marriage and you're so freaking close, or an amazing relationship. It doesn't have to be a marriage, that you're together every day, you know each other inside and out, you've been together for 6 months to 60 years, whatever the case may be. We are all going through different vibrations, different energies, different situations, different mindsets, while trying to coexist and love each other and communicate with each other. So communication is not easy all of the time, but it's important all of the time. Okay? So when we like to sit there and think that the other person can read our mind, then we get mad about it. But the thing is that we don't get mad at us about it. We get mad at them. We get mad if they don't react a certain way, change what they're saying, don't want to have a conversation with us, don't understand what we're doing, or their mood isn't changing based on what we think they should already know. When you don't communicate, when you're not assertive about what it is that maybe has made you feel uncomfortable, maybe you felt like someone, did cross a boundary, then when you aren't assertive about that, you can't sit back and be mad at that other person. You have to set the boundary and you have to express that boundary. And for the most part, that boundary is protected. But a lot of time, well, no, sometimes we have to be extra assertive about it and say, hey, listen, I'm not comfortable with that. And not I'm not comfortable with that. Hey, listen, as a reminder, I'm just not comfortable with that. Okay. And I just needed to remind you because when this happened or when this conversation happened, it made me feel really uncomfortable. And I feel like maybe a boundary was crossed for me. Right. So we have to be assertive in our communication, and we just can't think that people are mind readers all of the time. And if you don't want to open up your mouth and say something, then you have 2 options. You either get over it or you just sit there or you say something, right? 2 options. You say something, and if that's not the option you want to do, then you need to get over it. You can't sit there and be mad at the other person because you didn't speak up. You didn't make yourself clear. You can't expect somebody to understand 100%, what makes you feel comfortable, what doesn't, when you haven't explained it clearly. Now, if you've explained it to them time and time again, Like maybe, a friend or a coworker or your loved one or your partner, your spouse, maybe they tell a story that is really embarrassing to you to the point where like it really does make you feel uncomfortable. That's okay. If every time they tell a story and you get a crumpled up face and walk away, they'll understand that you're upset, but they might not see what the big deal is to them because maybe to them it was cute and it was funny. And to you, it really makes you feel uncomfortable. If you're not willing to say to that person, that just makes me feel really uncomfortable. And I know I see the humor in it. And I know that you think it's cute and it's funny and haha. But for me, honestly, like it's really embarrassing. And it just reminds me of a time of my life that I just didn't make a good decision. And I just really don't want people, I just don't want it to be like, you know, the middle of a conversation or the topic of a conversation. If you explain it in that way and they still say this story to other people or bring it up after you've clearly expressed a boundary and they're still crossing it, then 100% you have every right to be mad. Every right. And you probably need to have a deeper conversation as to why they're not respecting your boundaries. Because I guarantee you, if they're not respecting it in front of you, they're definitely not respecting it behind your back. So, just a little point to make there. But if you just want to stomp off every time or give them the silent treatment for 10 minutes and then be okay and expect them to just know, like, well, he should know by my behavior. Okay, well, maybe your behavior, yeah, the signs are there, but it's your responsibility to be assertive. It's your responsibility to be 100% clear. And you don't have to do it in a rude way. You can do it in a respectful way, but that's up to you. So if you're not willing to be assertive about where your boundaries lie, you can't get mad when people try to cross them. So again, it goes back to naming your limits, knowing what you're allowing of, knowing what you're accepting of, knowing what you're able to tolerate. And I mean health, like in a healthy way, not like I'm cringing every time he does it, but I'm just going to put up with it. Tolerating doesn't mean like I'm just going to put up with it even though I feel a specific way. Tolerating is, okay, what a dumb story to tell, but whatever. It's no sweat off my back. I don't really care. Go ahead and tell it. Haha, whatever. You know what I mean? And you're really at peace with it. You're really like, okay, I'm cool, whatever. I don't care. I'll tolerate it. Right? And then also knowing what makes you truly uncomfortable and what makes you not feel good. So anyway, being assertive is number 9, and that brings us to number 10, and that is starting small. And this I love, 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 because starting small is like my whole slogan to my coaching program, to my life, to everything in my life, to new habits, to practices, to growth. Everything starts small. I am in it for the small guys. I am in it for the little heroes. Little by little, a little becomes a lot. I say that all of the time. And starting small is like the only way to get anywhere, really, is to get anywhere where, the big picture, the big accomplishment, the big goal, you have to start small. So again, like any new skill, communicating boundaries takes practice. Setting boundaries, naming your boundaries, communicating them, and following through on them takes a lot of skill. So we have to start small. And this goes back to when I was talking about, when I was talking about, I believe it was number 7, making self-care a priority. And I want to start off with this. If you want to start setting boundaries, everything always turns back to you. Everything. The world is going to change around you, but in order for your world to change in the way that you want it to, you have to constantly be changing and growing in your own self in the way that you want to, not in the way somebody else expects you to, but in the way you want to. And that starts with small little things, okay? So, practicing boundaries, the best way to do that is to start setting boundaries within your own self. I will give you what my boundaries are for this year according to my goals. So boundaries can kind of be like your action steps along with your habits. Again, habits support you. Boundaries protect you, right? So if I want to make a habit of doing yoga for the next 30 days, which that's a true thing, then I need to set boundaries around that. When am I doing yoga? Is it in the morning? Is it in the afternoon? Is it in the evening? For me, it's mid-morning because I have the freedom to do so around 10 o'clock. What is going to make me do that? Getting a good night's rest, drinking a lot of water, eating a healthy breakfast. Boom. 3 habits right there. I'm sorry. Those are habits. 3 boundaries right there that are protecting my habit of doing some sort of physical activity. It's also not drinking the night before. Another habit. I am abstaining from alcohol for the next 21 days. And we'll get into that next week when we talk about, practicing, putting these boundaries that are protecting us over the habits that we have set and how to set these habits and just New Year's resolutions in general. But that's something that I am practicing, is I'm abstaining from all types of alcohol for 21 days in order to protect the goals that I want, to protect the habits that I need to do every single day in order to get to the goals I want. I have a huge announcement that's coming in the middle of this month, and something that is happening in February where I need full clarity, full focus, full energy. And I need to set the boundary. I don't have the open limits of pouring energy into going to things that I don't need to be going to that could make me stay out late. And that could also, I feel like drinking, like a social hour, or sometimes even it's family time, you know? And so these are different boundaries that I have to set in my life in order to protect my habits. So, starting small, setting boundaries around your own self, setting boundaries in your own life allows you to practice setting boundaries in general. So, again, it goes back to when I set these different boundaries. So, I'm going to bed at my boundaries. I'm going to bed at a specific time at night because I am getting up at 4 in the morning because I want to do my fellowship with the Lord and I don't want it to be rushed. This is a part of me fasting. This is a part of growing my faith. And this is a part of me deepening my prayer and my relationship with God. Okay. So I'm getting up at 4 a.m. to start my fellowship with the Lord. I can do my affirmations. I'm going to do my journaling. That's super important to me. And I'm tired of not being as consistent as I want to be with it. So these are the habits that I'm building. And then getting some work done in the morning. That's just the way my schedule is. Getting some work done in the morning, so start my day off right. So in order to do that, I'm going to keep myself physically healthy by being active every single day, whether that's my 30-day yoga practice and walking. Either one. Something for 30 minutes a day. If I want to do more, great. If I want to do 20 minutes, that's fine. But something every single day. Not drinking, and also not watching TV during the day. A lot of times I like to have my lunch and I like to watch an episode of, Ugly Betty or something like that, whatever I'm binging on at the moment. But I realize that it drains my energy. So there's no TV. If I do watch something, it's going to be something that's educational. It's going to be something that is transforming. It's going to be something that is motivational, whether it's a sermon from Elevation Church, whether it's, a TED Talk, whether it's a documentary on mindfulness. That's what I'm going to be filling up my mind with, because I need to be as prepared as possible for this year to come. And I'm not going to start when things start coming. I'm going to start preparing myself so that I stay ready instead of having to get ready. So these are the limits that I am putting on myself. And I'm starting small. I'm doing it for the next 21 to 30 days. And then we will reassess what limits I can stretch, what limits I need to tighten. But in order to do that, in order to be successful in these new healthy habits that are supporting the life that I want, not the life that I currently have, I need to set boundaries around them. I need to protect my habits because my habits are propelling my actions. My habits are propelling my choices. Am I feeling tired? Am I feeling sluggish? Am I feeling foggy? Or am I feeling waking up clear-minded, focused, energetic, magnetic, inspired? Those are all the things that I want. So what is it going to take for me to get to feeling that every single day? Well, it's going to take this, this, and this, and this, right? These new habits. And in order to protect these habits, I need to set these type of boundaries. So you name your goals, your actions, what's the end result? Then you set those habits to help bring those goals to life, to help sustain those goals. And then you set boundaries to protect the habits. So it's all relative. It's all relative. You can set a habit of, I want to eat healthy, or I want to be active every single day. Okay, cool. So what are the boundaries that are you setting to help support this habit or to help protect this habit? What are the boundaries? Are you still going to go out to restaurants with your friends and be tempted? Because we all know willpower only comes in little tiny smidgens. And it takes a while to build discipline, because it's not the willpower that sustains these habits or helps kind of keep these habits in motion. It's discipline. And discipline doesn't come right away. It takes a while to break a habit, and then you have to build another habit. That's more later. We'll get more into that later. But anyway, when you start small by setting these different boundaries around your own self, when you attain these goals, when you see these actions coming to life, then it's so easy. It's so much easier for you to say, no, I don't want that. Yes, I do want that. And I don't really care if you're offended or if you're not offended or if your heart's broken or if, you think I'm being too harsh, if you think I'm a B, whatever it is. The answer is no, because I'm protecting myself. So when you start to set boundaries within yourself, even the way you think, what are the boundaries on your thoughts? No, I'm not going to think that way today. No, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not. I'm not going to have this conversation with somebody today because I'm not going to feel drained today. I need my energy. I need my focus. Right? So when you start to set those little boundaries within yourself, and you create your environment and you create your own relationship with you, then it just has no other place to go but seep out into other areas of your life, whether it's work, whether it's outside relationships, whether it's, outside conversations, whether it's opportunities that you need to say no to or opportunities that you want to say yes to. Because then you'll find yourself only having conversations with people who are in alignment with you. You find yourself only having opportunities or saying yes to opportunities that are aligned with what you want. Those are all boundaries that are protecting you. So I know I've gone on a little more than 30 minutes, but it's important. I think it's really important. And if you're still listening, I thank you so much for continuing to listen. But this is a new concept to a lot of people, and it's a lot of work. I will say that. But again, start small. Don't let this all overwhelm you. Like everything else, start within your own self. Because when you start to transform yourself, then everything and everyone around you starts to transform. Your environment starts to transform. It's not the other way around. You can't transform your relationships and transform your environment and then you transform. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. It doesn't happen that way. It has to come down to you. So if you need a refresher of steps 1 through 5, go to the last episode, episode 20, and then come back to this one. Write them down, circle, highlight, write in red the ones that you are really strong in and the ones that you need to work on. Start naming your limits, tune into your feelings, set your goals, set habits that support those goals, and then set boundaries that protect those habits. I will see you next week when we get into a discussion of 2021 and everything we're going to do to make this year a year of transformation. I hope you all have a most wonderful, wonderful day, the most empowered week. Thank you for sticking with me. I love you guys so much. If you're not subscribed to this channel, do it now. I would love it. Thank you. Thank you. And also make sure that you're following me on social media, Facebook at Pep with Megan, or my own personal page. I have not reached 5,000 friends yet. Megan De La Concha, or Instagram at Megan De La Concha. I will talk to you soon. Ta-ta!